Hey, Laurie. How's it
Hey
going?
Liz, it's going good. How you doing?
Good, good. Hump day. Excited to be here. Thank you for joining us. And everyone else, good afternoon and welcome back to Plain Speak today, the podcast where we bridge the gap between technology and customer support, bringing you insights directly from the leaders who live this every day and are shaping the future of customer experience. As we head into summer, it's definitely summer here in Texas, a season where many of us like to reconnect with nature and adventure outdoors. It's the perfect time to have Laurie Galardi, the customer support leader from AllTrails, join us. So at AllTrails, Laurie, we'll hear more from her directly in just a minute here. But Laurie was recently brought in to play a pivotal role in enhancing the trail experience for millions of users through innovative customer support and community engagement strategies. Her expertise ensures that each user interaction is not just a transaction, but a step towards building a lasting relationship with the great outdoors. I'm your host, Liz Tai, CEO and founder of High Operator. We're committed to revolutionizing customer support through our cutting edge strategies like High Auto, as well as our suite of self-service tools, High Q, which includes Highlight, QA Scout, and SuperSat. Our platforms leverage NLP, workflow automation, and generative AI to manage complex customer interactions, ensuring seamless and efficient support. To everyone tuning in, thanks for joining us over lunch. Please feel free to engage with us through the chat during the podcast. Your insights and questions are super exciting as part of the conversation, and we'll try to address them during our discussion or follow up on LinkedIn after the session. So with that, let's dive into our dialogue with Laurie from AllTrails on this episode of Plain Speak. Laurie, thank you again for joining us. And I'd love to kick off by just diving a little bit into your history. You have such a unique view on support, communities, and technology. But tell me a little bit about how you transitioned from client services to leading customer experience in the tech world.
Yeah, really excited to be here and have a chat with you, Liz. So I started my career in business consulting, focusing on client services. And this was a really invaluable experience and way to sort of grow up professionally because it provided me with the foundation of understanding the dynamics in customer relations and how to address their business challenges. And yeah, I just got an insight into all these different companies and got to put myself in their shoes and tailor solutions to their unique experiences and needs. And this directly correlated then when I transitioned to customer support and customer experience because I had that background.
Yeah.
And I then jumped over to SoundCloud. I kind of got the tech itch and I really immersed myself in managing and scaling the community team there, which, there was certainly challenges, but it was also really exhilarating. And since it was so much focus on scaling because the community was so large, we had to think a lot about what kind of systems we were building and along the way, just keeping the community first and foremost, how we could foster the relationship there, create a sense of belonging, and just make it our top priority in everything we did as a business.
I love that. And I love how you sort of framed your path from client services and understanding customer relations and business challenges into the world of CX. And we're going to touch on this later, but two things that have always really impressed me as we've talked about the world of customer support is one, your ability to really elevate support and bring analytics and make them part of that product feedback loop, which I think comes from this overall awareness of the business objectives. But then also, Laurie, you've become this expert specifically in supporting products that have a lot of community, to the extent where community is part of the integral experience of using the product, but also that you often have very passionate, very expert leaders who go very, very deep on specific product features. And you have to manage a way to provide support against that, communicate on their level, but then also provide support at scale, which just cannot be easy. So excited for you to share more about that with us. And maybe to start with community building, right? Community building seems to be the central theme that's run through your time at SoundCloud, Native Instruments, now AllTrails. Can you discuss the challenges and successes you've encountered while integrating community into that overall customer experience?
Yeah. So Integrating community into the customer experience is about creating a space where members and customers can feel valued, connected. They can go as a source of inspiration. And yeah, it's a way that they have a place to solve their challenges, but also a place to kind of have communication on a platform that they do feel super passionate about. And so at SoundCloud and then also later at Native Instruments, I really focused on launching and then maintaining and leveling up really successful communities and community forums and platforms. And so, we leveraged different events. We had exclusive content. We had sneak peek previews into product launches. There was swag and discounts that they received to get more involved. But then most importantly is that we really valued the feedback and we took action on it. And we even got product involved in the forums, communicating, talking about timelines, explaining why certain decisions were made that maybe weren't clear to some, because some people have preferences and others can have the opposite preference. And so I think really having that dialogue and providing the context can help people understand why certain decisions are made. And so, yeah, I think that the power of community here was really able to transform customer support from a cost center to a value driver.
Fascinating. Because on sort of the consumer level, right, you're building community, the challenge is communication. And I love how you said that context really sort of helps bring that together sometimes to help the users understand the bigger picture. Because I'm guessing, especially with products like Native Instruments, you have users that go super deep on specific features, but they might not have the broader context that then becomes the challenge for you and your team to really spread out to them.
That was a big thing, kind of the user segmentation there, because we had these deep, rich experts. And then we also had newer people who wanted to get into audio production. And so the level and the depth of how deep you could go technically, like we wanted to meet people where they were at. And that's why these communities provided different places depending on that segmentation.
So when you think about that segmentation, I'm actually just curious, tactically, how did you think about that from a community and support perspective? So users can sort of self-sort and they'll find their conversation. But from your team's perspective, how do you meet them and try and get those data points?
Yeah. So I think with newer folks, obviously the onboarding experience is huge, and having a really good place and system and within the product but also within the community to bring people along the journey, particularly in a super technical and niche space like in Native Instruments, was really important. And then for those who are so deep in the journey and we're really truly expert, also having a special place there. And so there was kind of sub communities and sub forums as well, because there were a bunch of different products. And so depending on the product, depending on the level, you could find the right space to go deep or go the way that you wanted to go. But we did have an array of options for the different segments.
Super cool. And then the other thing you mentioned in there, I think all these things are like entire points we could talk about all podcast long. We talked about how your team took feedback from the users when actually able to really close that gap and like action that feedback through the org, which I think is oftentimes the challenge with customer service orgs, right? Is you hear everything from the front line, but how do you effectively and efficiently actually operationalize getting that feedback back? Tell me a little bit about the systems and processes. I mean, I know you've talked about your point person program, Native Instruments. Tell me the motivation and give us some context around how you go from this theory of customer feedback being actionable to actually operationalizing it.
Yeah, so this was something that actually started at SoundCloud. And what we essentially did was we mapped our team. So a team member was mapped to a product vertical. And that person, we set out clear roles and responsibilities. We worked with product and engineering to kind of show them what we wanted to do and provided structure and alignment with them to make sure that they were on board. And we really focused on rapport building and kind of cadences and structures around that relationship between support and between product. And along with that was, being part of the roadmap planning, bringing qualitative and quantitative data to those discussions, so that CS, who sits on a pot of gold of information, talking to thousands of customers all the time, takes that and translates that into, what should be part of the product decision-making process. And I think by CS having these new sort of skills and roles and responsibilities, it empowers them and gives them ownership. And then, since CS also has their kind of spiny sense on what the community and the customer wants, since we talk to so many of them and we have the full sort of product view, we're really able to make a business impact there. And so I also brought this to Native Instruments and formalized it, in a different way, because it was both hardware and software. And so, we also integrated QA and different parts of the organization as well, including marketing, to understand sort of what the product marketing was going to look like. And it's just a way to ensure that we're mapped cross-functionally, particularly to product and engineering, but also all the other relevant cross-functional teams, so that we're in sync and aligned, and we can feed the voice of the customer into product decisions.
Feeding that back, that's so interesting, but super, super cool. I love how tactically you're breaking that down, because it's that like signal and communication problem, right? Like you can't take every single conversation and feed that directly through to project owners, but you do need to sort of digest that down. And I love how you were able to really be explicit about assigning the responsibility to operationalize that. Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely something that has brought a lot of satisfaction to teams about the work that you can accomplish when you have that kind of strong relationship.
Yeah, and it really it sounds like gives a lot of accountability and responsibility down to individual team members as well. How, just from like a team management perspective, how has that been received? Because that is unique. I think in theory, a lot of CX teams would love to do that, but team members don't often really get the opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's a way to empower and create ownership responsibilities and spread that throughout the team, so that in team meetings, it's not the manager kind of telling everybody what's happening, but the team members are coming and saying, hey, from this product vertical, here's what's happening with the roadmap. There's these bugs that are being addressed in the next sprint, and everybody's sharing the information and has a sense of ownership. And so I think it's really well received, and it also really helps engagement, because, when you're responding to tickets all day, it can be repetitive. And if you also have this other purpose, then it helps you manage your time better. It helps you just feel a sense of purpose and drive in the work that you're doing.
Yeah, it's engaging all of the members, both internally and externally. Fascinating. Two sort of additional thoughts here that stood out that I'd love to cover a little bit are, one, when it comes to community, such an awesome part of the experience and part of the user base. Now, there are presumably some internally controlled communities and also some external communities, right? Because people are using these products in their everyday life across other communication channels. Curious how you've thought about those in the past. And then we'll talk a little bit about implementing tools for your team and how you think about those cross-functionally.
Yeah. So I guess, there is sort of this philosophical alignment of like internal customers, internal communities, and external customers and communities. And I think, you also have to have the internal documentation maintained, communicated, taught to everybody, so that there's internal education and alignment. And once this happens, once you get everybody aligned and in synced, and engaged, then that naturally spreads externally. And so that's why I think it's really important to focus on the internal needs as sort of a foundational piece, because this naturally then is translated externally. And ultimately, this is how, you can help make the business more successful, because that it's kind of contagious when you're engaged, when you're doing really good work, when you're well educated, you then can share that externally, and that can only be beneficial for a business.
Super cool. Yeah, that internal external alignment, right? Not just across business objectives, but across that listening and learning. So, okay, you spent a lot of expertise built up supporting very technical products for the customers of the brands that you've led and worked with. We are in 2024. Automation, AI. There are so many cool tools for customer service teams to implement, both internally for things like Agent Assist, but also externally with different automated ways of engaging with your customers, whether that's chatbots or via another channel. Tell me a little bit about maybe what you're excited about, and then also too, how you've thought about managing those implementations, because kind of similar to external products, you have someone who's responsible, you have someone who needs to build it, and then you have the user, and these are often different parties.
For sure. Yeah. No, it is a really exciting time in terms of how AI is beneficial to businesses and companies. Customer support, customer experiences at the top of that list. And I think in 2023, just in the industry, we've seen a lot of successes, and we know that it's working. And so I really do see this year as go time. And yeah, we actually recently launched an AI chatbot at AllTrails, which is super exciting. It took a lot of preparation cross-functionally with product engineering and within the team. And so there's a lot of synchronization internally, and then you have the event. You launch it, you hit the milestone, but that's not where the work ends. That's when it kind of just gets started, because now you train the bot and you maintain it, and as the company evolves, so does this tool. And so I think that what it means is that the team has a new set of responsibilities, and new tools to learn and new tools to maintain. But what I think is actually not that different than how it's been done is that you're updating content, you're reviewing it for the quality, you're tweaking it to make sure that it's still relevant, that it's in line with the new features, with the new tools that have happened on the back end, because of different tech debt being overcome, or new technology that was integrated into a different part of the business. And so I think, again, what I see is that it requires resource and ownership within the CS team, and it requires cross-functional collaboration and alignment as well.
Yeah, it's that cross-functional bit, because it's really just another layer of product feedback and accountability, because when it comes to the consumer-facing product, right, you have your customer service team that hears all of the users who are encountering maybe awesome experiences or not so awesome experiences with the product, and you've done an amazing job of structuring programs that then take that and feed it back into the rest of the org to give CX a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Chatbots are interesting. Chatbots are kind of the same in a way, right? Because you now have your users that are interacting and having awesome and maybe not so awesome experiences with a chatbot, or maybe just not ideal. Like, things change and evolve, and the products change and the learnings change. And customer service is, again, sort of at the front line of seeing that and building out that spidey sense of where is it working well and where is it not working well. But the difference maybe here is that when it comes to the product, maybe AllTrails, that maybe goes to your product manager. That's a separate function, and they're handling presumably some of the accountability and managing the project. When it comes to AI tools, what are you seeing? Because yes, you probably have a technical member who does the implementation, helps code the chatbot, but customer service both cares a lot about the outcome because it's customer experience and also is on the front line. How do you think about where that ownership and that feedback cycle ends?
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, like just like everything, having a clear roles and responsibilities established and agreed upon. And then, as org changes happen, kind of re-engaging regularly on that to make sure that it still makes sense. But ultimately, since CS is responsible for the communication with the customer, I would say that we're the owner of that technology and the implementation and also the maintenance. And so it does require a good amount of cross-functional influence, collaboration, and essentially program management. And there's things that need to be updated because there's automations that are built, and then something changes, and so then you have to again get back on the roadmap and hope that it can be bumped up. And it takes a lot of coordination and a lot of communication. What I've really loved at AllTrails is the sense of just co-ownership and how customer focused everybody is cross-functionally. It just creates this ease when there is a little bit of fuzziness of who's the owner and why.
Yeah.
But I think by just putting it out there and making a decision around it in the moment can really go a long way.
Yeah, someone just needs to run point and take that accountability. And super exciting time to be a member of customer support and to be growing in that role in their careers. And maybe to double down a little bit, I'd love your take on some of the skill sets here because in customer service, well, we've always talked about, well, how do you take a frontline agent and then make them a manager and then make them an owner of the CS program? Because you're going from soft skills to some extent to much more quantitative skills, right? When you're managing teams of agents. So we've always, I think, in the support role talked about how do you put those skill sets in. When it comes to what you just talked about, right, which is being able to understand what's going wrong, being able to think about workflows and think about how do I now get my change into the work stream of the overall tech org. What are some skills that you think frontline CS leaders today who have a view of, I want to be at the top of the org in 10 years, that they should be thinking about that are either the same or different?
I think a lot of key business skills are essential to grow and be successful in customer support. So influencing, communication, taking a lot of information and synthesizing it, being able to tell a story, translating, like there's so much translation between, like engineering speak to what the customer understands or taking what the customer says and turning it into some hard data, while still infusing the qualitative aspects. And so I think that, particularly for leadership, that those are some qualities. The tried and true quality that comes to mind for CX is empathy. And it's absolutely necessary when you're communicating with a customer. But I also think when trying to debate or influence or, persuade another team to prioritize what we feel like are really big pain points, really empathize and understand what their experience is, what their priorities are, what their competing priorities are. And just, I think no matter what, in any role, I think it's a really important aspect of success. But data has been increasing and technical skills within the team, something that I built within Native Instruments and also at SoundCloud was a support developer team to kind of work on those integrations. So rather than borrowing from different product or engineering teams to work on projects, I just kind of built it in-house so that we could be on our own timeline and build our own roadmaps to get some of the more technical advanced maneuvers done in a quicker time frame. So those are all really important. And then just hard communication skills, really good writing. There's, at a lot of companies I've worked at, it's international language skills.
Yeah.
And yeah, just really good writing skills is absolutely essential because, we see what it's like when it's not written well. And when you see something that has the right language, the right tone, it can make all the difference. And so that's a big focus of mine as well.
Yeah, those empathy communication skills. So I think sometimes people think there's like data and then there's like empathy, but what I'm hearing here is that yes, the data needs to be there, but it's really how you tell a story with that data and then
Yeah.
how you use that to influence the org internally to understand the data that other people might see and what their experience is of all of that.
Yeah, and translate that to what the effect on the business will be. And so I think that's where it can get super interesting and fun when you see an ongoing customer challenge. You know that it's disrupting or influencing the brand reputation, potentially causing some churn. And so I think being able to translate what we're hearing for the customer into the business impact is where you can really elevate the value that CS is bringing to the business.
All part of that same loop. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Laurie, we are getting close to the end here, but every Plain Speak, we like to ask a rolling question. And so your question is coming from Michael Fulvio, the Director of Customer Experience at Snipes, a retail trendsetter with clothing issues inspired by hip hop, street ball, dance, and sports. And we've touched on actually bits and pieces of this already, but he's curious on how you're implementing automation without causing any concern to your team members, if there is concern there at all. It sounds like you've actually laid out the pieces pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I think that communicating the value or the benefit to the team. So, when you're in CS, you get a lot of repeat questions. And so if you're able to overcome that and let the bot handle the repetitive pieces, then you can focus on the more interesting ones that require research, that require you to really use your problem solving and think about it in a deep way. It also frees up time to work on all those exciting projects that we've been wanting to work on and have more time to focus working with product. But then, as I did say earlier, it also requires resources to maintain and help it evolve as the company evolves. And so yeah, I just see it being almost like a partnership with the team rather than anything else that people could imagine. Obviously, the way people talk about AI in the world and it taking over jobs, it's hard for you not to go there mentally. But the way that I seen it played out is more like what I just described.
I love it. I just read this article the other day on how the dishwasher and vacuum cleaner gave people hours and hours of their day back. It didn't rob them of their ability to vacuum the house, but it meant that they could do all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I love that view on, hey, what does this actually enable CX teams to actually get done that's much more maybe interesting, but also high value in some sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Laurie. And now, what's sort of your open question in the world of customer support or beyond that you'd like to ask the next guest?
Yeah. One thing I often am curious about is, customer support can be a challenging industry because you're dealing with a lot of problems. And what I'm curious is what energizes other leaders. So, what kind of mantras or mindset focuses help them just feel motivated and energized every day to keep going? Because, I have certain things that I do, but I always love hearing about what others have as well.
What's on the top of your list?
I think, staying healthy and is a huge thing for me. That's why I'm so excited to work at a company that focuses on that. When I feel whole, when I get fresh air and am rested and eat well, I'm able to show up a lot better and actually feel like myself. And so I also think that making time for your passions allows you to then show up rested, show up ready to work, and feel like you want to have a sense of accomplishment because you also did something that means something to you on the side. So I think those are some, maybe obvious, but very real things that I focus on in my everyday life.
I think people need permission to remember that, the holistic view is really important. So I appreciate you sharing that. And Laurie, it's been a heck of a 30 minutes, and it's been really wonderful having you share some of your approaches to customer experience and community building throughout your career. And I'll be getting ready for the summer with AllTrails, somewhere cooler than Texas. Thank you for joining us today. And to everyone else who tuned in, we hope today's episode has provided you with some valuable insights about community and technology and customer experience. And we hope you're ready to hit the great outdoors this summer as well. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Plain Speak, where we'll be talking about experiences and strategies for quality. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.
Bye. Thanks so much, Liz. It's been a lot of